Good morning, ladies and gents, and welcome back to Thai Talk with Dan, the channel where we talk about everything Thailand. So in yesterday's video, I gave you an update about Chris's situation. Finally, Chris has left Thailand, and when I last spoke to him, he was on a coach heading back to Cardiff. Now guys, I do have a further update, but I'll give it to you at the end of this video. I don't really want to get any more deep into Chris's situation. He's a nice guy, he's a lovely guy, but he's in deep waters now and I just don't want to get involved. Anyway, in today's video, imagine what it's like to be your very own landlord where you've got condos for rent in a place like Pattaya. Imagine the type of clientele that you may get from tourists that are coming over from different countries, to expats, to bar girls, to freelancers, to all sorts. And on our channel, we have a subscriber who is a landlord in Pattaya that's going to share a story with all you guys today. So let's roll the intro and let's get on with today's video. Welcome back guys. Okay, so let's jump straight into today's story. I would like to share a story with you regarding my experience renting a condo to a Thai freelancer. Let's call her Ms. W. So I have 3 condos in Pattaya which I bought off plan in 2016, 2015 as investments. Probably the worst investments I have ever made, to be quite frank. Property investing has never been my forte, and renting in Pattaya has never been easy. Well, it's simple enough to get the condo filled quickly with a tenant, but the expats who have rented from me over the years have been a less than stellar assortment of people. Nothing terrible, but it is like dealing with children. Late rent payments and the necessity of reminding them to do basic things like pay utilities are par for the course. I had one tenant get her power cut off 17 times in 3 years. And incredibly, she worked in real estate. I also had a guy from Arkansas who was super nice and paid everything on time, but generated lots of strife for me due to his habit of interacting with girls on his balcony in full view of his neighbours. Anyway, that's the standard in Pattaya for expats. Very little should be expected of them in terms of self-control, reliability or basic manners. I am cognizant of this and fully expect it. However, Ms. W was next level and managed to lower the bar even further than I could ever imagine. So it was mid-2020. COVID was in full swing. Thai borders were closed to new arrivals and many expats had left the country. I had 2 out of 3 apartments vacant as my erstwhile Russian and Japanese tenants had just broken their leases and gone home. The guy from Arkansas was still in place and only left in 2022, having after much persuasion agreed to only do the balcony thing at night with the lights off. As a landlord in Thailand in August of 2000, things were looking bleak. Pattaya was full of vacant condos and rent prices were plummeting. I had been renting my 1 bedroom for 14,000 per month and my 2 bedrooms for 20,000 and 25,000 respectively, different developments. Those prices basically halved and have only recently recovered most of the dip. I was therefore happy to receive a message from a friend there saying that there was a Thai lady interested in renting the condo for $7,000 per month for a 6-month contract. Now, at the previous price levels, the residents of the good condo buildings were predominantly expats or Airbnb tourists. In 2020, the expat market was curtailed and tourism was dead, with prices substantially lower. That meant that a whole new group of people, bar girls and freelancers, could now afford to live there. According to agents I know and my other tenant, the building was filling up with Thai girls at the time. I figured, well, it's an offer and $7,000 a month is better than a slap in the face. I viewed it as temporary until COVID ebbed away, whenever that was going to be. So, Ms. W moved in mid-August 2020. I signed a contract with her, took 2 months deposit as well as the first month's rent, and requested copies of her ID card, etc. I got all that, and she also emailed me, which I didn't ask, a set of photos of her ranging from her insomnia at FL Club in Pattaya to bikini shots and the pièce de resistance, one of her lying naked on the bed, face down. Now, I thought that was a tad odd, even for Pattaya, but hey, she paid the rent. September rolled around and she only paid the rent 2 days late. For Pattaya, this is quite respectable. She also proved her ability to pay the electric bill, which is better than 80% of the expats I have had previously. The problem started in October of 2020. No rent was paid. A full week passed and finally I received an email response. Her mother was sick. Not the buffalo, you understand. Her mother. I told her directly that she needed to pay me urgently or I would end the contract. She paid a week after that, 2 weeks late. She also lined me in passable English to explain her situation. Ms. W is a freelancer and a fairly sexy one at that. At 23 years old, 155 centimeters tall and 38 kilograms, she fits the classic spinner definition. This info is from her Thai-friendly profile, but I'm not sharing that here. I don't fancy a defamation visa. Unfortunately, with the clubs and bars closed, her income stream had dried up. She turned to OnlyFans for income and started doing shows online. Nothing hardcore, just softcore, masturbation and the odd lesbian encounter. She would also do the odd in-call client in my apartment whenever she got the chance. During COVID, with all the restrictions, there were not many clients, so she had to rely on OnlyFans and any sponsors she could get. Times were hard, in other words. Okay, November produced no rental payment and she continued the tale of her mother being sick. In reality, as I later discovered, she had a bit of a drug habit, which probably consumed much of her income in place of the rent. I started to receive more and more messages from her and some pictures and videos too. These were of the explicit variety and obviously designed to turn me on and make me forget about that rent. Now, while having a pretty young thing send me nude pics is nice, I would rather have the cash, especially as I was thousands of miles away. Also, I've never really been into girls that squirt, and I just couldn't get the question of how the sofa was going to be properly cleaned out of my mind. She was angry that I did not want to let her live there with no or reduced rent in exchange for this type of interaction. To be candid, I have no idea what pays up for this stuff. Some real saddos, surely. She played me until the middle of December with stories about a sponsor who would send her cash. I did actually receive an irate email from a bloke named Ramsey. One hopes not Bolton. from Perth, Scotland, telling me how awful I was for not cutting his muse some slack. I responded that if he pays me, she could stay, and provided UK account details. Crickets from him thereafter. With a full month of rent unpaid, I sent her an email saying she needs to get out and that I was evicting her based on breach of the rental agreement. Not what I wanted to do, and it would be my first eviction in Thailand. However, it could not continue. So I woke up the next morning to a stream of line messages from Ms. W, pleading for more time. She was sick, her mother was sick, etc, etc. No dice from me, she had to go. She tried to lure me with offers of her services when I returned to Thailand, but I was not going for that, as you can never trust the word of a bar girl, and who knows how long COVID was going to last. I am not stupid enough to become a sponsor, even if I would have been paying with accommodation instead of cash. Then, in an interesting twist, she said, "Can you help me find customer? I pay you then." After a bit of back and forth with her, she indicated that she would take 800 baht short time. Her pre-COVID price was apparently 1,500, so it was reassuring to know that it was not only my rental income that had taken the plunge. I contacted the Arkansas guy and another 2 guys I know who live in the building. At that time, outside the building was problematic due to COVID restrictions. All agreed, but one backed out because when he arrived she was smoking what he thought was crack. Anyway, the others went through with it and she did the short times, 9 per month, and the guys paid her the money. She did 18 in December and early January to pay the missing month and the current month. Therefore, I got the November rent, bit late, and also the December rent in this way. She actually paid 14,400 baht, 2 lots of 7,200, but in installments of 800 baht each time. I would get messages from the guys saying they had just met her, and a few minutes later 800 baht from her would hit the account. Quite surreal. Now on January the 15th, 2021, there was no rent and neither of the guys wanted to continue. Both had picked up STDs, herpes for one and herpes plus gonorrhea for the other. They blamed Ms. W, so again we went through the whole "how is she going to pay me" rigmarole. This time things were not so nice and she basically ghosted me. After a week I sent a friend to check on the unit and tell her to get out. When she opened the door, he was stunned to see 9 Thai girls all sitting on the sofa or floor sharing a pipe. He said it was definitely drugs and mentioned that she seemed spaced out and unable to really talk. There was also stuff lying everywhere in the unit. Now, not liking the sound of that, I got a property agent to draft a formal eviction letter, and when she did not pay or respond in early February, I cut off the water and electricity. A few days after that, the agent visited and she was still there and said she would pay him. However, the next week he returned and she was gone. It was actually hard to tell if she had vacated or not because there was so much stuff everywhere. A mix of half-eaten food, clothing and general trash. He boxed it up, had a deep clean done. The squirting was the least of it, and changed the locks. I sent her emails and messages and so did the agent to inform her that her stuff was available for collection. She never got in touch and eventually he dumped it. Amusingly, among all the junk and, give me an hard word here, detritus, lots of packets of prescription drugs were found in the drawers of the entertainment unit. We had herpes medication for the immune suppressed, no less, treatments for gonorrhea, chlamydia and even syphilis. I looked them all up online based on the photos the agent provided. Syphilis is really old school. That one surprised me. So in all, I lost a month of unpaid rent, January to February, as well as small unpaid bills. I was able to keep her deposit, but it did not cover the losses, especially since we had to replace the bedding, mattress, and do a thorough deep clean. I don't know what happened to the mattress. It looked like a murder scene. Either she had her period or crapped the bed massively. Hard to tell from the colour after so long. Vile. Anyway, I eventually managed to rent the unit again in late March of 2021 for 10,000 baht. Better price to a guy from Germany. He has been pretty great and is still there now. The lesson of this being, never rent to a bar girl or freelancer. Never trust them. Yes, as a landlord, the expat tenants are bad, but you have no idea how good they actually are compared to a Thai bar girl. Also, as a customer, never do anything unprotected with these girls. It is just a really bad idea. One of the guys claims he used protection all the way and he still got herpes. Be careful. And as a closing statement, guys, all of this happened 18 months ago in September 2022. I arrived back in Pattaya for my 6-month stay. Ms. W is still in Pattaya and still on Thai friendly. This story has a part 2. I will get to it eventually. Well guys, if you managed to listen to that whole story, it was a little bit mental. And if you're thinking of getting into the property game to rent out condos, etc., then that gives you a very good idea of the things that may come your way. And if you're interested in part 2, please let us know down in the comments, guys. Right, now I promised you guys an update about Chris. Guys, this is it's a difficult one. I wasn't even going to mention anything, but I know a lot of people were interested in Chris's story. They've followed him from way back when I first started the videos, did the interview with Chris. Then he did a bit of radio silence, and then I got to find out what happened to him yesterday, and I'll let you guys all know about it. Now, as we had quite a few messages back and forth, Chris sent me photos of him and this girl. She looked quite nice, actually. She looks in her 40s. She looked decent. She looks all right. But then I got to find that Chris has promised her that he's going to take care of her, that he's going to do these monthly payments. She's gone down the road of stating that she wants to die because she's in debt and she's got big problems. She may have to find 50,000 baht soon. So I think she's been negotiating with these monthly payments that Chris has promised her to try to get some kind of lump sum of 50k, and then possibly reduce the monthly payments or whatever. So guys, it's a little bit mental because Chris is basically stating, you know, he did kind of fall for this woman. He does care about her, so the heartstrings are there, guys. She's going on about killing herself and all that kind of caper, and then on about this 50,000. So I just thought, yeah, I think I'm best off staying out of this one, as I can see where it's gonna go. It's pretty obvious for me, and it's pretty obvious probably for you guys that are watching as well. So I kind of want to draw a line on this story now, guys. Right, so if you're wondering why I've got a jacket on, it was incredibly cold this morning. I woke up around about 5 a.m. and it was freezing. The fan was on number 1 and it just felt like ice was blowing at me. It's starting to heat up a little bit. There's clear blue skies again in Thailand. But if you're coming over here, just expect cold evenings and cold mornings. But for the rest of the day, it's not too bad. Guys, if you've got a story and you want to share it, then please email it in to thaitalkwithdan@gmail.com. And I will see you all again very shortly.